guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have a brand new Mattel Jurassic World Dino Escape Camp Cretaceous set to take a look at, and it's about time we get another of the human characters from the Camp Cretaceous show, as we quite clearly now have Sammy, and of course the Velociraptor, as well as some very interesting Compies. Now, pretty much everything in this set is a repack in comparison to previously released figures, except for Sammy. She's the only brand new figure, as the Velociraptor is a repacked version of the attack pack, but it does have a new paint scheme to it, and the Compies are also repacked, but they also have new paint schemes. Initially, I thought it was just one that had a new paint variant, but it seems as though both are new paint variants, as the one there that's up there on her arm is a lighter green than the previously released Compies, but very interesting. It's at least nice to see some new paint on the figures as opposed to just straight up repacks of previously released figures. And then here on the back of the box we have an image showing off basically what's inside, as well as some of the other packs that will be out apparently, because this one here definitely is not out yet as far as I know anyway. This one I believe is out, but I'm not entirely sure how many places you can find it. I know I have it ordered, but it hasn't shipped quite yet, so hopefully sometime very soon. But again, some very cool stuff, so let's pop these out of the box right now. So here are our Compies. We've also got our Velociraptor. Put the arm down, make him look a little bit more natural. And then we have Sammy, who still believes she's holding a Compie on her arm, but she actually is not. She doesn't want to stand right now either. But this set definitely looks pretty fun. And it is really cool to finally have a Sammy figure, as we have quite a few of the other kids from Camp Cretaceous already released. We are now running through the final group of these figures as far as which ones haven't been released quite yet. And I believe we only have one left yet so far, so that's pretty exciting to have almost all of them complete now. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump straight to a closer look at all of these right now. So, starting with the only new figure in the set, which would be Sammy, you can see as far as she goes and her likeness goes, I think she actually looks really good. I think they did a pretty darn nice job of replicating her in figure form compared to what we see in Camp Cretaceous. And overall, she definitely has a fairly screen-accurate look. As far as her hair goes, you can see the hair is sculpted really quite nicely. Of course, there's lots of kind of movement shown in the hair of her, and there's also some very nice coloration that's been added. Nothing crazy, just a black coloration, so it's not like we get, or any kind of alternate tones of color or anything, but it does look nice. It's nice and precise as far as the way it's applied. You can also see that she has the pink band there holding her hair up, in whatever position she would like. Apparently, it's not doing too good of a job, as it's just kind of all over the place right now, but you can see the eyebrows are present. The eyes are very nicely painted, and the lips as well are nicely painted, so overall the face looks pretty good as far as like the paintwork and sculpt goes. As you move down into the body, you can see her top is also really cool looking as far as the way it looks in the film. I think they've done a good job of replicating that, giving it this very interesting design that she has on her shirt. You can also see that as far as the sculpt goes, it looks pretty good. We don't really have like any kind of like folding or anything like that in the shirt that I can really see, so like detail wise it's not super highly detailed, but it looks pretty good. It's basically like the basic version of what you would need, and then the rest of the body here looks pretty nice. The hands are sculpted quite nicely. Of course we have articulation throughout, and then coming down into the pants also look nice. I can definitely see more folds and stuff in the pants, more so than we see in the shirt. There's not too much more, but there's definitely a little bit more as far as like kind of slight bends in the pants, just kind of giving it more of a realistic look, I would say. And then of course we have the boots down here, and the boots also look very nice. And of course the paintwork is really precise, like where the pants end and the boots pick up. You can see it's very nice as far as that line goes, and all of the paintwork really is very nicely done throughout the course of Sammy. And of course, as far as articulation goes, we do have the head, which can swivel entirely around if we want to go exorcist on her. And then of course we have articulation in the arms, which can go out, it can go up, spin pretty much anywhere you would like. The elbow articulation right there, which can also swivel, so we can break her arm if that's something we really want to do. And of course it's the same articulation on both sides. You also have a swivel here in the midsection, and then you have leg articulation in the hip as well as the knee. And of course the knee as well can swivel if we'd like to break her legs. So some very nice articulation throughout, and a really nice Sammy figure. Now, the Compies, sculpt-wise, don't appear to be anything new. They're just basically the same Compies we've had in the past, so we don't really need to look at the sculpt, and there's really, honestly, not much really with the sculpt that you can look at, because the figures have a fairly muted type of an appearance as far as the detail goes, but at the same time, you can pick out detail on them, like the head looks pretty good and stuff. Maybe with some paint application that was a little bit more, realistic, they would look better, but for their size, they're nothing crazy, nothing amazing, but it is nice to have new painted versions of them, because we've had the previously darker green versions released so many times already with no new paint variants, so it is nice to have at least a little bit of difference with the Compies, even if they're not the best figures in the world. They're a fun little extra to the set, and again, at least Mattel did give them new paint apps on them, so that's a plus. And then the Velociraptor, also another figure that we have reviewed already numerous times, but with a new paint application on this one. And primarily the body is like a nice bluish gray for pretty much the majority of the body. You can see the eyes are painted with an orange, if my camera would focus on them. There we go. Painted with an orange, given a black pupil, so the black pupil straight away is a big plus. And the eye paint is fairly well done. It looks all right as far as the placement goes. At least it's not down on the cheek or somewhere like I've seen in the past. Of course, the jaw is articulated and works very nicely, and you can see the teeth are painted very well. There's no sloppiness that I can really see as far as the teeth go. Maybe a tiny hint of it has run onto the tongue right there. The inside of the mouth does sport a purplish coloration in there, and it kind of has a gloss coat. It's not quite as noticeable as some other figures, but it's definitely there. And of course, you can see the eye over here is also really quite nicely placed. So that's a plus, because sometimes we do have some quality control issues when it comes to the eyes of Mattel figures. You also have kind of a light gray there for the lower jaw, and that light gray runs down into the throat, but of course it ends abruptly before even reaching the chest, before it tapers off to being the exact same color that we see everywhere else on the Velociraptor. You also have a tone of green that starts up here right behind the head, and then just kind of like splatters throughout the course of the back. It ends right before the hip, but then picks back up in the tail, and runs for a little bit out onto the tail before disappearing completely. So I am really happy to at least see some paintwork there out onto the tail. I would have liked to have seen it go the entire way. That just would have made it look a little bit nicer, I think, but I feel like the tones of color play off of each other pretty nicely. Of course, it's not any kind of like a revolutionary, amazing new Velociraptor from Mattel, but it's just another of the many really appealing looking versions of the Velociraptor from Mattel. Of course, we don't have any nail paint whatsoever. No hand nail paint, no nail paint on the feet. The only other thing that we have paint-wise would be the speckling that you usually see on Mattel figures, which you can see like right there in the claws. The speckling is present. It's present throughout the course of the figure, like you can see it right there in the arm. It's not super visible like some other Mattel figures have been in the past, but it's definitely there. So, pretty fun looking Velociraptor figure. There is the Jurassic Facts app code if you would like to add it to your collection, but again, nothing amazing, but definitely another nice repaint coming from the Mattel line. And we went over Sammy's articulation, but of course for the Velociraptor, like I stated, you have the articulated jaw, articulation in the arms, and the articulation in the legs. I don't know if the tail articulates now. So there's no swivel tail or anything on this particular version, just the legs, the arms, and the jaw. That's about it, so the bare minimum. We also have the Compies who have zero articulation, and then Sammy who just refuses to put her arm down. Ever since she was attacked by that Compie, she just does not want that arm to go down. Let's see if we can get her to stand, because earlier we couldn't. Maybe if we turn the leg a little bit right there. There we go, she is standing. As far as a size goes for the Raptor, it's going to be the same size as all of the previous Attack Pack versions of this style. You're looking at about 6.5 inches, or around a little over the 16 centimeter range, closing in on 16.5 centimeters. And then for a height, you are looking at about the 3.5 inch or 9 centimeter range. And then for Sammy, about 3.5 inches or 9 centimeters. So pretty much just like the Velociraptor right there, very close at least. And then the Compies, you're not really going to get much of anything on those guys. Like you're looking at about 1.5 inches or 4 centimeters roughly for the crouched version. And then For the kind of elongated version, you are looking at about the 6 centimeter range, or closing in on 2.5 inches, but a little bit smaller, I would say. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Dilophosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line in comparison to the Sammy and Velociraptor set. And you can see that as far as the Raptor and Compies go, they are pretty much exactly the same as all of the previous releases. Again, just reused sculpts with new paint apps. But then as far as Sammy goes, you can see that she is actually a little bit smaller than Muldoon, so it makes her look a little younger, of course, as opposed to an adult like we see with Muldoon. So very nicely done on the part of Mattel as far as that goes, making her look even more so accurate than if she would have been the exact same size as Muldoon. I do like the slight decrease in size to give her that younger appearance. So this Sammy and Velociraptor set from Mattel is another fun release, but it's nothing amazing. It's not like a set where you get a brand new human character and a brand new dinosaur. It's just some repainted dinosaurs and a Sammy figure, which is brand new. But again, it's awesome to finally have her. She honestly was one of the characters from the show I was a little concerned about getting. I honestly didn't think that they were going to make her because it just didn't seem like she was on their list of people to create, but then all of a sudden she got unveiled, and I'm really happy to have her now. I expected her to end up being the last one to get released, but luckily she's here, and honestly, the figure looks really nice. I think they've done a great job of capturing her appearance from the show. The paintwork, of course, is very nice and precise throughout the entire figure, very nicely replicating her appearance in the show as far as the coloration of her clothes as well. And of course, on top of everything, we have some nice articulation on her. So another really fun addition to the Camp Cretaceous kids. And we also are so close to finally completing the entire set of kids from that show. So hopefully Brooklyn will be here in no time and we can complete the entire set. And then as far as the Compies go, they're pretty fun, you know, nothing amazing. They've never truly been incredible, but they are really cool as far as your ability to kind of attach them to the human characters. I do like that. And I do like the figures in general. I think they're nicely sculpted, not amazingly sculpted like a lot of Mattel figures, but they're nicely done. I really feel like they would look so much nicer if they had better paint application on them. I feel like they had maybe eye paint or teeth paint, but of course being just small, tiny little rubber figures, I don't expect anything like that from Mattel, so I guess what we have been given is alright, and at least we have 2 new paint variants of these figures finally, as they have been repacked with the same paint applications for a very long time, so it is nice to at least have something a little different finally. And the Velociraptor, this is probably like 1,364,112 Velociraptors into the Mattel line, but at least it's another appealing looking Velociraptor. I feel like they could have probably chosen a better figure to include with her because I think we've just had so many Raptors at this point. We don't need any more, even though I'm sure we'll keep getting them. But the figure as a whole does look nice. It's a very nicely painted and very appealing to the eye looking version of a Raptor. I love the way that the bluish gray coloration and the green running down the back plays off of each other. It is very striking, and I do like the fact that they did put some paint out onto the tail, which is something that you don't often see from Mattel, so that is a huge plus as far as this figure goes. Some nail paint would have, of course, made a big difference, and maybe some of that light gray running down the entire underside, and it would have been a much better figure, but what we do have here is still a pretty fun version of an Attack Pack style Velociraptor from Mattel. So this set overall is definitely a fun release. It's nothing incredible, but if you'd like to complete your set of human characters from Camp Cretaceous, it is a must-have. And overall, there's nothing really negative about the set either, so it's definitely worth picking up if you ask me. So if you are interested in this, I will include a link to the listing on Amazon where you can go ahead and purchase this set. I don't think it's entirely in stock right now. Maybe it's like starting to ship. I'm not too sure, but hopefully you'll be able to acquire it at some point in the very near future. If it is not in stock or shipping quite yet, it should hopefully be very soon. So make sure you check the link in the description, go order this very cool set, and make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.